Hello and welcome to my Hygge Crow. My name is Christina. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm coming to you from Sacramento, California, where I live with my husband Joel, my daughter Elliot, and my cat Nissa, who's right on the other side of the camera. We'll see if she comes and joins me over here during the video. So I'm just gonna get right into the knitting because Elliot is napping and I'm not sure how long that will last. So if I have some time at the end, I might talk about what I'm reading, life stuff, etc. But I'm just gonna go ahead and get started with finished objects. And these first ones, I was wearing them. I just pulled them out of the laundry actually. I did put them through the washer and the dryer. Wow, I just wore them in the house a little bit and they already got hair and lint on them. But these are the Spoondrift Socks by This Handmade Life. And I will say that the yarn is Knit Pick Stroll in the color Sapphire Heather. And as I mentioned, I put them through the washer and the dryer and they came out not shrunk, fitting great and very clean. So quite happy with the yarn. I didn't super love knitting with Stroll. It felt like a little squeaky to me. But for the price point and for the result, honestly, knitting socks that I can't put through the dryer is kind of not really for me at this stage of my life. I need to just be able to throw them through. I can take care of sweaters and other things with more care, but socks, I just need to be able to put them in the washer and dryer. But I will say I liked the pattern. Like I mentioned, I liked the yarn, but I do think I made the wrong color choice. These socks have a lace panel down the front of them. I honestly have no idea if you're going to be able to see that. And I knit them in a really kind of dark blue. And I would not choose a dark color to knit lace in. I would think twice before ever doing that again, because I feel like you can't, here I'm wearing them now, I feel like you can't see any of the detail of the lace, so I might as well just like knit plain shorties. There was no point in me spending all that time doing lace work. So now I know light colored yarns for lace. I did show these in my last podcast because I had finished knitting the knitting parts of these. These are the Áine Mitts by Melody Hoffman, or Mandarins is her like company name, or design house, I don't know. But they are officially finished. I had not done the little, what's it called, this like embroidery part until the very end, well, until after I filmed my last video is what I was trying to say. And I also mentioned that because these have so many yarn ends from the baubles as well as like from the embroidery, because like each little posy is embroidered separately. I mentioned that I was going to try to do braided, like weaving in my yarn ends by braiding them. So I think I was expecting it to look a little more polished, to be honest. This is what it looks like on the inside. And it does add some bulk when I'm wearing them. But the pattern is already like bulky right here. There's no wrist shaping. You just kind of like go straight through. So I don't know that it like really noticeably adds bulk because it was already going to be baggy on my wrist. I'm quite happy with how I wove in the ends, or the braiding process for weaving in those ends. Yeah, I think it's nice. I will say when I finished them that Joel said that they were the ugliest things that I've ever knit. My mom, on the other hand, really liked them. I have a sweater that's almost exactly this same like red, or yeah, like pomegranate or cranberry. I don't know what that color is. Burgundy. I have a cardigan that's almost that exact same color, and so when I wear it, and it's got like skinny sleeves, and so when I wear it with that, it looks quite nice in my opinion. Joel begs to differ, so this was a mixed bag, I guess. The baubles, if you've looked at the pattern and you've looked at my version, you will notice that the baubles are way bigger. That's because I didn't see the bauble instructions until after I was already finished knitting. So if you're gonna knit these or the Áine socks, there's charts that kind of go through how to do this section of the mitt, and there's just like, you know, one thing on the chart is like bauble, and the instructions for the baubles are on the very last page of the pattern. So if you're looking for them, look on the last page. But yeah, I thought like, oh, I guess she just wants us to knit a bauble. I'll look it up on YouTube, and the baubles that I found were way bigger. So I'm kind of disappointed. I definitely would have liked these more if the baubles were smaller. I think that's really part of the charm of the pattern, is like these petite little posies with small baubles. So I do hope to make the Áine socks, and now I know make the baubles smaller and I will know where to look for the bauble instructions on Melody's pattern. So yeah, those are my Áine mitts. They've been nice. I actually like them for when I am knitting and it's kind of cold in the house, because they, oh, my thumb got stuck on that braid. They don't cover up any part of my fingers. So my pinky is how I tension my yarn, so it doesn't like rub against anything when I'm tensioning my yarn. I will also say that I've made a modification. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the last episode when I talked about these, but I did knit the, it's like a 3x1 rib at the top. I knit it for, I started it earlier in the pattern than was called for, just because it was so, the mitts were so large and I wanted them to kind of suck in a little bit. So I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, and I think they blocked out really nicely. They're definitely a lot softer or they have more give to them. They're not particularly soft. They're quite woolly, but they just blocked out really nicely. The stitch definition evened out, and I think they're nice. Joel doesn't, so you know, we can't always agree. So I did finish finally my baby bear suit. So this was supposed to be for Elliot for Halloween. I did not finish it in time for Halloween, which is totally fine because it's massive. I've essentially just put it away for her to wear for Halloween next year. I knit the 12-month size, and I think it's probably about 8 to 10 inches too long for her, which is a lot of inches. I haven't put the buttons on yet, just because, you know, she's not going to be wearing it for a while, so I haven't been bothered to do it, but I should do it just so that it's like all done. But yeah, I haven't even looked through my button stash to see what I have that would work. Yeah, I think that it blocked out really nicely. I was worried about this back part where it comes down into the point at the hood. I was quite worried about that because it was like really sticking out, and it's still like, there's like a little nub in here that is a little pointy, but it blocked out quite nicely, and I think it doesn't really bother me anymore. I also had quite a bit of rowing out. This is knit, you know, it's like a cardigan, so it's knit back and forth, so there's quite a bit of purling, and I do get rowing out when I'm knitting flat, stockinette flat. So I was really pleased with how it blocked out with this yarn. I think the stitches look a lot more even. I think there's still a little bit of rowing, but you know. Overall, the pattern I think is great. The hood construction is really interesting, and like how you do the neck, like the hood attached to the rest of it, is really well done. I was quite surprised when it came to doing the crotch shaping. It didn't have you secure the inside button band at all, which I thought was, I don't know, kind of weird. I ended up sewing it down just because it was flapping about. Oh no, Elliot's awake. She has a Montessori floor bed, so she can get out and play with her toys. We'll see if she does. Otherwise, I might be filming the rest of this later. But the way they did the decreases in the crotch, and it's been a while, so I don't really remember, but it wasn't very like polished, I would say. Like they could have, I don't know, done it better, done it differently. But what it was the decreases on both sides were the same, which doesn't really make sense for something that's not the same. Like, it looks fine and it's so little, and I guess they figure like no one's gonna see it because when it's worn, that part will just be fully underneath the baby. So it doesn't matter. But yeah, I was just kind of surprised because I don't know if I mentioned, this is a baby bear suit by Knitting for Olive. But Knitting for Olive does tons of patterns, and so I don't know, I was just surprised that it wasn't more kind of polished on the finishing. that's what I have to say about that, and hopefully I'll have some pictures of her wearing that next year. Next up, I finally finished my sweater number 11. Yeah, I buckled down. I think last time I had just the neck done. I buckled down and I knit a sleeve, one sleeve each week. So yeah, it just took me 2 weeks to go ahead and finish the sleeves for this. You might notice I have not woven in the ends. I woven some of them that were like more prominent, and then I just like wore it. I haven't blocked it or anything, but I wanted to wear it, so I did. And I still need to weave in quite a few ends and give this guy a block. So maybe I'll wear it in my next podcast so you can see kind of how it fits. But oh, I better go. I will catch up with you with the rest of my knitting later. All right, well, here we are 2 days later. I wasn't able to get back to filming, but that's okay because it gave me time to weave in the ends of my sweater number 11. I'm not sure I mentioned this is sweater number 11 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I've knit it with Drops Air in the color Wheat, I think it was Wheat. So yeah, I got to weave in all my ends, and now I have it on so you can see how it looks. I haven't blocked it yet, so that will be the next thing that I do. But yeah, I think I was about to talk about the sizing. So I kind of Frankensteined all of there's only 3 sizes in the pattern, and I Frankensteined this so that at different points the sweater is any of those 3 sizes. So what happened is I cast on the medium, or the second size, at the shoulders, and I knit that down to where you're supposed to split. Well, I think I just started knitting, and then I took my gauge and realized my gauge was a little big, as it always is, and so I wanted to just knit the size small instead. So I planned to only increase for the number of stitches in the size small. So starting out medium and then going out only to the size small for the like body circumference. And then I knit to where you split for sleeves, and I didn't like they were like really high, and honestly it probably would have been fine, but it would have been like this. It would have been really tight on my arms, and the arms would have been a lot skinnier. And so I added 10 rows on the front and on the back before the increases to like bring this part out and join in the round. So top is a size medium, the like body stitch count is a size small, and then when I picked up for the arms, I ended up with the stitch count for a large. So I guess adding that extra length in the armpit just essentially turned my sleeve holes into like a size large. So I just went ahead and knit the arms to a size large specification. And I do believe that the turtleneck is also a size medium, just because that's how many stitches I had when I cast on and started the sweater. So I didn't mean to do any of that, but it all worked out. I like the fit. It's a nice, like, loose style without being cumbersome. I have a another oversized sweater that I knit that is actually quite cumbersome to wear, which is, you know, then you don't end up wearing it a lot. What really surprised me was the length on the sleeves, and this is, I knit to the length called for in the pattern, and this might change a little bit with blocking, but you can see like they're like somewhere in between a bracelet and a 3/4. Like they're not even a full bracelet length sleeve, and that might be because I have extremely broad, well, okay, maybe not extremely, but I do have very broad shoulders, so I'm wondering if those are taking up a little bit more of the drop shoulder room than maybe an average person might take up with their shoulders, which might be shortening the sleeve a little bit. So I quite like it because I don't think it looks weird when I just like have my arms down. I think it looks like totally fine, but when I'm doing stuff, dishes or, you know, changing diapers, whatever, I don't have to like constantly like push up my sleeves or try to roll them. I can leave them unrolled and just go about my day and not get my sleeves all dirty. So I do really like that. The pattern does say that you can like knit an extra, I forget, an extra however inch or 2 inches or something like that in the twisted rib at the sleeve, but I didn't do that because I wanted to be done. And I'm glad I didn't, because then I'd have to roll them. I would say, other than like the kind of sizing mishmash that I did, the other modification I made was that I made it a split hem. I just really prefer that look in an oversized sweater than to have like a big baggy sweater and then it like comes in at the bottom. I just like the more streamlined look of a split hem, and I always French tuck a large sweater, and even smaller sweaters too. I pretty much always French tuck, and so I find with the split hem it like lays nicely when I do a little French tuck. Okay, the yarn, I'll say, is great for this pattern because it's super lightweight. It's a blown yarn, and so it really, it's not heavy. It's not like dragging me down. It feels maybe even lighter than just like a regular like store-bought sweater, which I think is great for an oversized sweater. You don't want to be like, you don't want your sweater to drag you down. It's not good. Okay. So yeah, I finished this. I had a lot of finished objects this month. And the next one I don't have with me, and it was kind of an impromptu cast on, and it was the North Sea Mitts by Petite Knit, and I realized that I needed mittens for Elliot for this winter. I thought of it because we're going to Iowa for Christmas, and it's gonna be cold, if not snowy, and so she was gonna have to have mittens, and so I thought, I can knit those. And I can knit them quickly. And I did it. It took like 2 weeks with other ongoing projects. And the North Sea Mitts are a really fun pattern. They come in like, I got the junior one, I think is what she calls it, but it's like the one for kids. And the smallest size is, I want to say like a 6 to 12 months or something like that. And I chose to knit the smallest one because, or maybe it's like 0 to 6, I don't remember, but I chose to knit the smallest size because every petite knit and knitting for all the pattern I've ever knit ends up being way bigger than the size. Like, I don't know, like, because I didn't check the actual measurements of the finished objects, but they're always, like, if you're going age based, for Elliot at least, they're always way too big for the age that they say they're gonna be, and she's like mid to small size baby. So I don't know, maybe there's just like all the babies in Denmark are like Mondo babies. But all that to say, I chose the smallest size to knit, and I think the pattern is really cute because they have little thumbs for all the sizes, which for like baby mitts are pretty impractical, but we can actually get Elliot's little thumbs in there, and I think it's so cute when she wears them. But the great thing about the pattern is that you can knit it using your fingering weight scraps. So it comes in a huge size range. I know that I will be knitting this pattern again. If you did just want to knit it in one color, it's like the perfect, like, basic mitt pattern. You just like don't do the striping that's called for. But it was a great way to use up like little tiny scraps. So I think some of the yarns that I used up were like 2 grams, 3 grams of yarn. So like those really end of the skein, like when you've already used your scraps for another scrappy project and you're like, I still have more. This is the perfect use for those little scraps. But yeah, they're cute. I used up some sock yarn and superwash fingering, and I just mixed it all up. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Oh, the other thing I did that's not called for in the pattern is I put a I-cord. I think I did like 24-inch I-cord. I attached it to it's like the mitts have a fold over ribbing for the cuff, and I attached it inside the mitt, like at the fold over. And I ran it 24 inches and then attached it to the other one. And I grew up in California, so this was new to me, but my mom looked at them, she's from Canada, and she looked at them and was like, oh, you made Elliot idiot mitts, which I thought was a really silly term. But apparently they're called idiot mitts because you can run the I-cord, or string or whatever, through your jacket, and so the mittens just like hang from the little from the jacket cuffs. Is that right? They just hang out of the sleeves. So when you put on the jacket, then you can just pull on those mitts, and when a baby inevitably gets their mitts off, they won't be lost to the world. So everyone who lives in a cold place just laughed at me for not knowing what idiot mitts are, but we Californians have it real easy when it comes to the weather. So I had no idea what those were. But it was perfect timing that I finished those up this month because we went up to the coast and it was chilly there. So she wore them there when she was like out and about on walks and stuff. And I have a picture that I have inevitably shown you by now is the picture of her wearing those up there. And I don't have them here because she wears them in the morning. Joel takes her on his bike to go to daycare, and so she needs to keep her little hands warm when she does that. So she really hates it when we put them on, but she's starting to acquiesce and let us put on the mittens, which is nice because listening to her scream and cry about that was annoying. Okay, last finished object. It's really been a marathon. I should have noted that the Spoondrift socks I finished months ago. I don't think I said that before. I finished those months ago and just repeatedly forgot to share them. So those were not a November finished object. So next up I have my tessellated, totally tessellated shorties. So I did show them in my vlogs giving video, but I have worn them a couple times, so they've kind of like blocked out a little bit. So I wanted to show them again. And this is, I knit these for Andrea Mowry's like Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving sock knitting challenge, where I think it's like 5 days and you knit a pair of socks in 5 days. And this year she did the totally tessellated socks. And I saw the challenge in her newsletter and I was like, well, I don't know if I want to knit those. I have like so many patterns in my queue and I haven't knit, including really cool sock patterns. But then I started thinking about it and I realized that I had yarns in stash that would look really good together, and so I wanted to knit them. So this green that I've used for the cuff, toe, heel, and main color is a little lion head knits sock yarn. It's like a tweed sock yarn that I got last Christmas. I got the Knitting Nelly like holiday bundle collaboration with little lion head knits, and I had leftovers after knitting my magic toadstool socks, and I thought it's gonna look really great. And then I had just like the tan is like a super wash Cascade 220 that I had left over from little overalls that I knit for Elliot. And then I just had this like brown, I think it's chocolate is the color, Drops Kid Silk. Is that all it's called? Drops Kid Silk in this brown color. And I held those double because the pattern does call for alpaca and mohair is quite a bit thinner, so I held them double to get the look that I was going for. So I'm very happy with those. It was great to have the motivation to like really quickly whip out a pair of socks. I have been wearing them and they're so great because they're really warm shorties. So I don't love store-bought shorties. Maybe I'm just buying bad ones, or maybe I am not buying them and other people are giving them to me and I just don't like them. But they're all like really athletic looking and stuff, and so I think it's cool to have like a shorty sock that looks, I don't know, stylish. Is that what I'm going for? But yeah, those are my last finished object. This has been the finished object marathon event of the year, I think. So what I am currently working on, I have this ongoing work in progress, which is for my mom for Christmas. And it is the Tuileries Shawl by Cleonis is the designer. And it's like nearing the end. It's like trying to roll. Hopefully that kind of stops happening when I block it. But yeah, it is, we're getting there. And this is knit with Swan's Island Natural Colors Fingering Collection in the color Sky Blue. So I have like just 5 sections of the end or the right, I think this is right, yeah, right section of the scarf, and they are going to get increasingly smaller and smaller and smaller. So I am excited. This has been a long going project. I've been working on it for a few months, and just working on it in sections so that I don't get burned out, because it is a light fingering weight yarn. But I love the little like German short row construction of these ruffles. I think those are super cute. I did mess up the pattern, and I didn't increase on these, like, so you, I mean, I think you can kind of tell that you increase at the end of every row, but for some reason I didn't realize that I was supposed to be increasing on these like section divider rows, and so I ended up being 10 stitches short or something like that. So really these dividers should have like met up in the middle, and this whole middle wedge should have been like not, there wouldn't have been a flat top here. It like all would have come together up at the top, but I couldn't bring myself to knit another section, which would have added enough stitches. If I just knit another section on the right and left sides, I just couldn't do it. I was ready to move on, and I figured like this option of just making this flat part wouldn't, like, it wouldn't change the look of the shawl so much that I wouldn't like it. But yeah, that is where we're at here. My goal is to finish it this week. I'm not sure if I said that, but I'm planning on finishing it this week. It's gonna get, I'll be more and more motivated as these sections like continue to get smaller, because you can see on this end, like these last few, like even like the last 3 to 4 sections are so tiny that they'll be almost like knitting nothing. Yeah, so I am gonna finish that certainly before Christmas, so that's exciting that I won't be rushing that. And then I cast on for the, I talked about this in my last podcast, but I cast on for the Andrea Mowry's Traveler Shell, and I'm knitting it as part of the Insta Friends KAL 2023, which ends in January, mid-January. So as you can tell, I've just got the like ribbing and like the hem and a little bit of the body. So I have a plan of like how much I need to knit every week to finish this knit along in time. I did knit the pockets as my swatch. I blocked this one, and I love the like combination of the yarns. So the green wool that I'm working with is the Wool Company. It's discontinued, but it's in the color sage green, and it's like this mega skein. Just for reference, this is like a normal skein of lace weight yarn. I mean, this one has like over 500 yards, I want to say, and this one is like 1,000 something. So yeah, it's just this absolutely massive skein. And then I was a little bit worried that I wasn't going to have enough of this one, and so for the ribbing, for all of the ribbing, so the button band that doesn't have any buttons and the hem, as well as the little cuffs on the sleeves, I'm holding this one together with my alpaca, and so it's, you know, you can see it's definitely a different color. It's gray as opposed to sage, but it once it's combined with the mohair, it's like kind of a little barely color blocked moment. So that is cool. I like that it's not super obvious, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I was talking about my swatches, and this one is blocked and this one is not blocked. These are the same amount of stitches and rows. So you could tell that they are like, if you've looked at, or if you've heard anything about the like traveler stitch pattern, they say, oh, it's gonna grow a lot. And yeah, for a 5 pattern repeat, it grows, or my sample grew 1 inch. So definitely taking that into account, which is kind of nice, you know, because it like, you're doing less knitting and then like you block it and it's like, whoa, I have all of this fabric. I'm disjointed, but the alpaca that I'm using is Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, and the color is also sage, I want to say. I don't see it on here, but I do believe it's sage or sage green. So yeah, these two are quite different in like their tone. This one's a lot warmer undertoned and this one's more like of a blue undertone. But I think they end up looking really great together. It almost reminds me of like sea glass or something. So that's, yeah, I'm just chugging away on this. I have some plans for knitting like in December that I'll be sharing in my Vlogmases. But these, yeah, those two things are my main projects I'm really trying to make some progress on. I mentioned that I might do a little life and reading chat for just to let you know what I'm reading. I have jumped into the Red Rising series hard. It is really good. If you haven't heard of it, definitely one to check out. I would say it's science fiction, but how I would describe it is like if you like took Dune. I haven't actually read Dune, I just watched the movie, so take this with a grain of salt, but if you like combined Dune with the computer game Civilization and also a little bit of like Game of Thrones action going on. But yeah, it's really captivating. I'm gonna make Joel and also my dad read it, and I'm so excited for when they absolutely love it. And I highly recommend that you jump into it. I have like flown through the first 3. I listened on audiobook and I've flown through the first 3, and I have the 4th now. And I hope this isn't a spoiler, but there's like quite a big time jump in between the end of book 3 and the beginning of book 4. And the main character is like, I don't know, like different, which is good. Like I think the author has really conveyed the age difference, but I'm like having a hard time like jumping from the character that I knew to the character that he is now. So but yeah, I'm sure I'll start reading it again and like really just jump back into it. Next, I was going to talk about life. I have, during the month of November, which is the month that we're talking about, Joel and I decided to go on a like TV fast, or yeah, mostly just like a TV fast. So we continue to watch, you know, TV or whatever on the weekends. But during the week, especially like weeknights, we just didn't at all watch any TV, and it was a really, really nice reset. I found I was able to really keep up with housework and like cleaning the kitchen every night, and like continuing to cycle loads of laundry and stuff like that, as well as just make so much more progress on my knitting as well as reading, because I was listening to audiobooks pretty much like from when Elliot went down to whenever I went to bed. So got a lot more reading and knitting done and just really enjoyed it. We found the reason why we decided to do it was because we were finding that like we didn't even know what we wanted to watch. Like we were just sitting on the couch being like, I don't know, like should we watch like a late night show? Should we start something new? And just like didn't have a clear like desire to watch anything. And so we were kind of just like, why are we doing this? So with just watching on the weekends, like there was something that we actually wanted to watch like each weekend night when we were doing that. And yeah, so I found it to be really nice. I'm not sure it's something that we'll do permanently. We haven't been doing it for December, but I do think it might be something nice to do like every 2 or 3 months, just to have like a reset, and just work on other things that aren't TV. You don't really work on TV, but you know. And I'm also thinking, because I do want to do a little more sewing. I think it would be really good for my sewing mojo, because what I find now is like there's no time to like sit down and do sewing, which is knitting. You can carry it room to room and, you know, pick it up for 5-10 minutes and put it down. I don't always like to do that, but I can. With sewing, you don't just like work on something for 5 minutes. Like you gotta like sit down or, you know, get out the iron and pull out the sewing machine, all this stuff. So I'm wondering next time we have a TV fast if we will do that. Oh, if I will use that opportunity to get a little more sewing done. The other thing that I was gonna mention is that I am I've kind of known for a long time, like years, but I think that I have an iron deficiency without anemia. So if you're not familiar with that, like normally iron deficiency, like doctors are looking to see if you're anemic, but there's actually like you can have an iron deficiency without being anemic, which just means that your like bones are almost always like depleted of iron, even though there's enough free flowing in your blood. I think that is a correct description of what this is. And a doctor screened me for it in 2019, and I had pretty low, the test that looks for this is ferritin levels in your blood, and I had quite low ferritin. It was within the normal range for the World Health Organization's like normal range, but there are like other folks who say actually like if you are in that like lower range of normal, anything under 30, which is like the cutoff, would actually count as an iron deficiency in most situations. It could be like clinically diagnosed as an iron deficiency for most people, and I'm definitely under that 30. And I've been feeling really fatigued, which isn't unusual, obviously for newer parents. But yeah, I just feel really fatigued most of the time. And so I asked the doctor to run any tests to see like if there's any vitamin deficiencies or whatever. And this is the only thing that came up. And I hadn't had the test since 2019, and I had it again now, and I still have really low ferritin. Not under the World Health Organization cutoff, but under that like clinical diagnoses cutoff. And so I am I'm like a very bad pill taker, but I'm trying to get iron supplementation in me every day. So it does make me ill, which is a huge challenge for continuing to have adherence to a medication that makes you feel nauseous. But I do take like desiccated cow liver, which is high in iron, and that doesn't make me ill. And I'm trying a new supplement, which is like gentle iron, which also hasn't been making me feel super sick. So all this to say, I'm like really trying to like increase my depleted iron stores, and I'm hoping that I will not be fatigued anymore. This has been, yeah, I mean, honestly, if I look back, I could not tell you the last time that, like, if you asked me how I was, I would not have said tired. So I'm hoping that this might be the reason, and that it's correctable. So cautiously optimistic that I will not continue to be fatigued for the rest of my life. So let me know if you have had any issues with fatigue, if you have what's helped for you. I know that this is just like one potential reason why I might be feeling that way. So I'd love to hear anything, any experiences you've had or friends or family have had. But yeah, I am hoping that you have a wonderful December, and whatever activities or not activities that you usually do in that month. And I will be catching up with you soon in a Vlogmas video. So excited for that. And yeah, thanks for joining me. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.